My hand was over the side of the bed, and I could feel the body of something with scales slide under my bed. When Terry first told me I was going to write her books, I had no idea what I was doing. So I went to her house and borrowed some books that she had. Books like Many Lives, Many Masters by Dr. Brian Weiss and the Celestine Prophecies. And I started by reading Many Lives, Many Masters because it was explaining visions and things that I had already experienced in my life because I had already been dreaming about past lives. I had already been astral projecting. Not astral projecting. Yes, already been astral traveling. I've been a dream walker my whole life. I've been able to lucid dream. I've been able to get myself out of nightmares since I was a kid by physically prying my eyes open over and over again because I would snap in and out of consciousness and see my room, see closed, see my room, see closed, which happened the next time I saw Oswin, except this time something tried to impersonate it. I was in this house, sleeping in that bed, and I started having a dream that I was back at my grandmother's. And when I slept at my grandmother's house, I was in a room that we called the plant room. It wasn't a bedroom. It was a very small room that had good light that my grandmother kept her plants in. And I shared a wall with an adult in active addiction. And I had a touch lamp that I kept on that side of the wall. And I had a camping cot on the far side of the wall. Picture a long, skinny room. The camping cot actually didn't fit, so it bent up on the side. So unfortunately, both me and my little cousin have bad backs. I put it like that because I had lizard tanks that I wanted along the wall. And to me, that was more important. Sorry, Jamie. But certain things would set my touch lamp off on its own. If the person in the room next to me turned a fan on, my light would either turn on or it would go up a level. Or sometimes vibration stomping. It wasn't the best house, so there was a lot of vibration in the floor. So there were times that I would wake up in the middle of the night because the light would turn on and I would see an adult in active addiction on his hands and knees crawling through my room, setting off that light because he was trying to rob me. The first time my therapist heard that story, she said, another caretaker in the house. And I almost lost my crap on this woman because there was no way that person was a caretaker. And she said, Heather, he was an adult in the house with a child. And I said, well, technically, I was 18. I was still in high school. So to me, I went back into a nightmare because here I was back in that room. And in the dream, I opened my eyes and there I was back in the room with the light on, except it wasn't him on all fours. Instead, there was a maintenance shaft that opened up between my room and his, and it went way too far that I knew something was off. This couldn't be my grandmother's house because there wasn't a maintenance shaft that went through the wall, through his room from mine. So I already knew something was up. And when I know something's up in a dream, that's when I can start lucid dreaming. I can actually start to control the energy in my dream. I've been able to do it since I was a kid because nightmares were scary. And I had to fix that. And I had to learn how to fight back. So before I could react and leave the room, something flew out of that maintenance shaft and crumpled onto the floor. And it looked like Oswin, but it wasn't correct. He was bent with his head down and his body looked broken. Like his legs shouldn't be bent that way, like his arms weren't right. But he kind of looked like coiled. And I wanted to leave the room. I didn't like it. I was afraid of him, except he was blocking the door. So I was contemplating getting up and leaving. And before I could do that, he looked down with his closed eyes and said, I would advise against that. But I don't listen. So I jumped up anyway. And when I jumped up, he jumped up and I grabbed him by the hands before he could react. And I physically felt him. And I could see that he had scales, iridescent like. Same blonde hair as before. But this was wrong. The scales were wrong. So I grabbed him into a lock I used to do to my little cousin, where I would grab her by the arms and make her hug herself. And I grabbed him in that same lock and I yanked him out of the room and into the hallway down to my grandmother's room. And when I walked through the door of my grandmother's room, I was in a hospital room. And there were two women, but they resembled my great grandmother. And one was looking out a window and a different one was watching TV. They had a curtain half drawn between them. Both hospital beds. Everything else you would be able to see in a hospital. The tools, the little tables with the little pink trays. And I drag whatever this thing is, and I'm looking at my grandmother. I'm going, is this the one that was bothering you? And she just keeps pressing the remote on the TV, and she's going, I can't hear it. I can't hear. I can't hear. And I'm going, is this the one that was bothering you? And she's going, I can't hear. I can't hear. And then I woke up. And I woke up because I was prying my eyes open, because I could see the red on the wall of the house I was in now. And then I would close my eyes and I was back in that room and I would pry my eyes open again and I could see the red in the wall. My hand was over the side of the bed. One eye open now, and I could feel the body of something with scales slide under my bed, under my arm. And that got me right the hell up. So I jump out of bed. I am looking underneath that bed. I'm trying to figure out what I just felt because I know I just felt something snake-like, the size of an anaconda. So I cleaned under the bed. I called Terry. Things are all right. And for a long time, I thought I was going to be the only one with one of those experiences until I read the book Jambalaya. And she had a bed monster too. And then I talked to other people and I put these videos out there and I get these private messages. I need to talk to you about a dream I had. I need to talk to you about this thing. I need to talk to you about something I've seen. Imagine the negative energy on the other side is taking forms to scare people like us. How does it appear on this side? I went to a workshop with Dr. Weiss, author of Many Lives, Many Masters. He has to help out the Amish a lot because they have a lot of things that they think are possessions, but they end up being past life energies. And I think that I've seen some of those. I know that I've seen some of those. My friends have seen some of those. My witnesses have seen some of those. I wanted to ask them questions. When we first sat down in the workshop, there were these two girls next to me, and I could feel the anxiety radiating off of the one next to me. And I asked her if she had ever seen anything before, and she said no. And we went through the workshop, and I basically told her, I've seen demons, and I'm here to figure out why. But I didn't want to give her too many details, and I didn't want to make her afraid because she was obviously shaky. So I didn't want to stand up in a room full of people and potentially do that to a mass audience. But when I went to this workshop, it wasn't just people like me and her. There were people from all over the world. There were psychologists, psychiatrists, doctors, mediums, housewives, regular people, people with questions, people with answers. Half the world has been honing their gifts since the beginning of time, and half the world has been trying to make you afraid of it. But these are gifts from God, from Source, from whatever you want to call it, from the light. You can harness them, you can learn how to make them better, clearer, and you can learn how to fight back against the negative. You can learn how to control your emotions. And in order to do it, you have to be grounded, you have to work for the light, and you have to start learning psychology and behavioral science because it's part of the pieces of the puzzle. Science and church separated too long ago, and it's what stalled civilizations. Combining them is key to unlocking the codes to astral travel, controlled. Here's an example of a past life dream that I had. I was with a bunch of other women. We were all wearing white, and we were in line waiting to be processed. We were around light colored limestone bricks and pony walls because I could see the people that were lines ahead of me, and I could see out into the street where it was city-ish for its day, but it was dusty. And we were waiting to be processed by a man that was wearing all black, and I did not like him because I felt that he was too powerful. I could feel his power. And when I got up to being processed, when it was my turn, he put his hands like this and he shoved something and it went into my gut. And when it went into my gut, I woke up with a stomachache cramping. There's a belief that that was where one of my wounds came from. There's some kind of a karmatic thing that was attached to me in that life. I don't know where it was. I have tried to narrow it down because I've been looking through histories. There's belief that time doesn't exist. Everything that is happening, that has ever happened, is all happening right now. So I can go back into the energy of that memory, of that dream. I can go back to whatever that was and get it the hell out. You ever have a dream like that? Because there were other people in that line with me. I wasn't the only one. When you have these dreams, sometimes you might notice things from nowadays because your soul traveled to the other side and back, so the memories are kind of congested. You ever have a dream about a past life? You ever have a dream about a friend and then tell them later and it turns out they were doing exactly what you dreamt of at that time? You ever have a dream that felt real, where you could physically touch something, taste something, smell something, can control it? You can learn how to do it better. So for a long time, I went looking for Oswin. And what I found was a king turned into a saint for choosing peace over violence. More importantly, Oswin translates to friend of God. But whatever that creature was that showed up, that wasn't Oswin. He was trying to be, but he couldn't come through perfect. Just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson couldn't come through perfect. Now, if he was to slide in my DMs meta verified and said, yo, I astro traveled that night, I would still tell him, sir, we are both married. Oddly enough, not the first person from the WWE I had to turn down in a dream. My husband's a very lucky man. I take my vows very seriously. Was my head cut off that whole time?